Hi, welcome. In this video, I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about the issue of starting to gain insight, relational insight into how a dog's mind or decision-making process is influenced at that level. And I understand a lot of people, what will happen, because I've been there myself years ago, you'll start off using just a certain way of doing things, such as a kind of a crank and yank style, a corrective type of ideology where you're following that line, or using, say, remote collars at a high level, pinch collars at a high level. But I would encourage people to really start to strip it down, to really start to understand, because that's what really gives you the depth of understanding this issue about response, motives. Start to be keying up on the depth of a dog's decision-making process and why it's important to start to be more proactive and how with change, but how it also packages up to the person, really shifting the focus away from these devices, because that's really what happens. Is that, just understand, as you're using certain devices, the tendency is because of how that device manifests at that level, at the physical level, the type of influence, how it manifests that influence through that device itself. It really becomes about the device. Okay, the issue about the person gets kind of shifted, the focus gets shifted, and that's why I talk about this issue of device awareness, why it seems like people can't ever get away from these devices, or why you feel like you need that device on that dog more often than not, because you feel like that's what's controlling or making that dog be better for you. And that's what happens. The dog's not really, it's disconnected relationally. The dog knows, okay, this person, I still have control. I mean, this person hasn't changed to that level because the device is not promoting it that way. But again, my point here in the video is to explain, well, there's a way to start to let go of those devices. And what I would encourage people to do, if you're seeking that greater depth of understanding, is there's ways to develop that. It's developmental, okay? People can develop this, just like I developed it. But there's a technique, again, that really will help with that, because it really promotes the person to invest, so you don't feel like you have to crank and yank if the dog's really trying to gain position out in front. I would encourage you to work off of the circle method. And you'll see that method on my videos. If you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see me using that method quite often. You find the videos, and I'm talking about the method, I'm doing the method. But that's a great foundational method to start to let go of certain devices, to take it down to a flat collar, but to do that method in very controlled areas. So, for example, if you have a space in your home, it could be in your basement. If you're a Canadian like me, it's all about basements. I'm in Florida now, and you don't hear anything about basements. But if you have a space, it could be in a fenced-in area where you can you have some space to do the method, the circle method. You need a little bit of space to do it, but it's all about, everything's in that method. All the basic method is there, the techniques. You're stopping with the dog, you're doing that sequence with using the push pull, the leash flexing, position the side, but then the circle method, you're actually going in, you're blocking the dog. But it teaches you to really invest differently, to focus differently. And therefore, you're using your whole body. You're using part of your knee area. Now, again, when you do the method, it's about what's reasonable. It's not about being intentional with hurting the dog or putting too much. Yet the influence level has to stay in that alignment at the relational level. So this is why all the methods come together. So it's really it helps you multitask, but it helps you really get a sense of what's going on, like through the person, how it sets up change. So again, I encourage you, if you want to move away from these devices, it's extremely helpful to do certain things to do that. And the circle method is a great foundational technique to start to release and give you the confidence to do it. Because a lot of times it's about confidence. It's like, if you done certain things, and it's almost like you feel like you have to, because you don't feel like you have that control. But then this method and this approach, it really sets it up so you're really going to invest in the method and the techniques in a big way. And you're going to see change you're going to see dogs differently. You really are. And you're going to have a confidence with training that other people aren't going to have. But it lets you see beyond appearances. It really opens things up to be able to see what I'm really talking about when it comes about the person. It's all about the person. It's about how people think. It's about how change sets up to that person. It takes a focus away from certain devices, which can get in the way of change. It can cause a disconnect, so to speak, because you want to break down the barriers. So anyway, just something to think about. Encourage you to check out or begin the process of doing that. I would. It's for your benefit. It's for others' benefits too, because when you're talking to people about what is training, and I think a lot of times the focus really does get lost. The conversation gets shifted over these devices because they're not relational tools that way. They're used at too high of a level. So then when people start talking about physical force and all these things, it gets lost in the conversation because the tool becomes the pivot point in a bad way. It's not meant to be that. It's about the person. So you don't want that conversation to get caught up that way because people have certain ideas, and then the real problem never gets identified. This is why a lot of people, this certain group of people, get away with being able to duck and weave and all these different things because the focus gets shifted. But again, if you just take it down and then saying, well, I'm not a pinch collar trainer, I'm not a remote collar trainer that way. I understand what influence represents. You can go deeper, and that really gives you the confidence to be able to then start talking about this issue about motives and response and the problems. See, it gives you that confidence to do that. But if you're not taking everything, stripping it down that way, you're not going to have the ability to see those things. So anyway, I'd encourage you to do that. Again, check out my videos. I have over 700 videos on my YouTube channel. I have quite a few in there where I'm doing the circle method. It's a foundational method. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.